Hey guys, it's Charlie. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into my last video, Why I Quit L'Oreal. I really just want to touch upon the positivity, the support, the defense, the people telling me that you've experienced similar situations. I had one person DM me and send me like a series of voice messages detailing her experiences as a Nigerian woman in Ireland at a corporate space, and like her story just literally brought me to tears. Like just acknowledging that this happens so often and to so many people is just so disheartening. And I really think the conversation about cultural sensitivity and diversity in corporate spaces needs to be had more often. This specific video is all about how I lost 42 pounds during my time at L'Oreal and afterwards, and how I ended up in China, which is where I am now. But first, I do want to say that this video is sponsored by QT Hair. This is the hair that I'm wearing right now. The unit is a 24-inch body wave unit. This unit, or this wig, it's a wig, guys, it's a wig. I feel like some people just say unit because they don't want to say wig, but I'm gonna be brave, I'll say it's a wig. And it is in natural coloring, and I really like the length on me. It's like my perfect ideal length. It came with a little bit of gray hairs, but nothing that you can't either pluck out or dye. It was very minimal. Everything else about it I love. I love the length, I love the feel to it. I highly recommend it, especially because it is super affordable. Max, the 26-inch is like $170. Yeah, cost of living in southern China is just incredibly affordable. All the information on it can be found in my description. Shout out to Harry for all of your amazing customer service. So to reel you guys in, I have to take you back into my teenage years. So I grew up in a very strict Nigerian household. It was just so focused on religion. I'll link my Being Nigerian video below. But I didn't experience, you know, drinking or being able to hang out with friends until college. So when I got to college, I gained so much weight because I was like always partying, always drinking jungle juice, which was fruit punch and Everclear, if you guys remember from Penn State. And I went to Penn State, so we had a good time. So I just gained so much weight. Gradually, I lost some weight in college and I got to a decent size, but never my ideal size. When I graduated college, life happened and I went through the whole struggle of trying to make it in the fashion industry, trying to make it in beauty. Right before I got to L'Oreal, I told you guys I gained a lot of weight. And even during L'Oreal, in the first couple of months when things were a lot better than what they eventually ended up being around my 7th month, I, was engaging in all these events and eating all the cupcakes and candies in the office and just like taking it all in, eating all the time. And then I was 24 when I started L'Oreal, and I was planning my 25th birthday. I had all the money that I wanted, so I was like, okay, let me go to Paris, let me go to Amsterdam, because I had always wanted to go to Amsterdam, and I wanted to go to Paris to recreate this picture of my dad, because my dad passed away, and I'm a very nostalgic person, so I wanted to go to Paris and do something special for him. And around the time I was planning my Paris-Amsterdam trip, which I would go on with my sister, I was like in this situationship with this guy that like I was really, really into. Like I really wanted to be his girlfriend. And I even took him to Buka Nigerian restaurant in Brooklyn. If I take you to Buka, that means I freaking like you, that you're probably husband material. So I was like really into this guy. He was so caring in person. I met all his friends liked me. But then whenever I was like away from him, he would just like be so weird, like for the big moments. Like on my 25th birthday, I was in Paris and he didn't even wish me happy birthday. Just little things here and there, and it was like he just wasn't stepping up to the plate. And at one point we had gone on 12 dates, and I'm like, I had the what are we conversation, because like 12 dates I feel like is a good, range for you to know if you want to be with someone in a relationship. And then he was like, I really like you. I really care about you. But, I just have to wait until October before I could be in a relationship because my job is so stressful. And first of all, I mean, you know, jobs can be stressful, but honestly, from my perspective, if you want to be in a relationship, you can make it work. But anyway, he's like, he didn't have time for a relationship, but he still wanted to see me. He still cared about me. He still liked me, blah, blah, blah. So I let it continue on. Because it's very hard when you like someone to like distance yourself. Anyway, so it wasn't going anywhere. And I was in Paris and he didn't wish me happy birthday. And I was like, okay, I'm done with this guy. And then I was engaging in all the things that people do when you travel, which is, you know, being a foodie for like that period of time. So I was going to all these cool restaurants, just, you know, gorging on carbs, eating poffertjes in Amsterdam, which is like this platter of these little pancakes and like all these little condiments. Got some strawberry gelato. Then I had beignets in Paris. I was just so brokenhearted. And right now, like, I don't even care about the guy, but back then, L'Oreal and that guy, they made me so happy. And when you experience that amount of happiness from having your dream job and having a guy you look at as a dream guy, like, losing him, it was a big hit. It was a combination of heartbreak that led me to losing weight and the feeling that, okay, if this is not my path right now, I'm going to focus on myself. Once I got back to New York, I found myself just being so heavy. At this point, I was like probably around 180 pounds, but I didn't weigh myself. Between when I graduated college and that point, I would never weigh myself. So then I was like, okay, I need to buckle down. I'm 25 now. I want to be my best self. And I had been saying that for a while. Like at 25, I want to step into the womanhood that I had always wanted to be in. And I'm not saying I'm there yet. I'm constantly working on myself. Self-betterment is the most important thing in my life. But I wanted to walk towards my goals. So in February, I started doing a diet. It was a regular, typical diet, just like low calorie and eating oatmeal and all this stuff. Pretty much what I had done in college. But I found that to be even more restrictive than what I would eventually do because I wanted to eat hamburgers. I wanted to eat all these, you know, fatty foods. So, you know, here I am doing research and I'm like, okay, what if I try veganism? I could eat like tofu and like faux meat and stuff like that. And I'm just researching veganism, vegetarianism. And like I had this girl DM me, she was like, yeah, I lost so much weight as a vegan. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but I don't think I can do that. Like, I really love meat. Like, it's not even funny. And then I remember in 2017 randomly watching Makeup by Shayla's videos, and then she was talking about doing keto. I was like, I can never do keto, especially because she was talking about fasting. I was like, I can never fast. Like, I can never do that. And then in 2019, when I was, you know, researching what I can do to amplify my weight loss, I rediscovered keto. But the way that I rediscovered it this time wasn't through like a beauty influencer, wasn't through like a random influencer. It was by actual studies and watching people who were actually health and fitness influencers, people who were doctors, people who were nutritionists. And I just took a day and I just went down the black hole of keto research. I just kept doing my research for days and then it turned into weeks of research. And then one day I was like, okay, I'm gonna start. Like, I'm gonna start today. At this point, I had just done like a little diet, which was like a regular diet. So I finally weighed myself and I was 174 pounds. So I began keto on February 25th, 2019. I was 174 pounds and did keto for about 8 days. And then I was finally in ketosis. Guys, I just finished taking my keto test. And drum roll, I'm in ketosis. So when you're doing keto, you're eating high fat, low carb, and moderate protein. And when you're restricting yourself of all of the carbohydrates, usually people eat less than 50 grams of carbs a day. I was eating less than 20, but the standard for most people is 20 grams a day. I was eating like 10 grams of carbs a day. So when your body is starving of those carbs, it's going to need energy, and it takes that energy from the fat, and that is what ketosis is. So on the 8th day, I was finally in ketosis. Well, a week passed, 2 weeks passed, and I lost, weight. I was like, okay, this is actually working, and it's happening very rapidly. And in the beginning of keto, I was just eating some weird shit that I had never had before, and I began to cook every single day. I lived 2 hours away from work, so I would wake up sometimes at like 4 or 5 a.m., get to the gym at 6 o'clock, do a workout session before work, get to work all day, get home. I was really pushing myself to limits that I never reached before. In combination with not eating a lot of carbs, I quickly began to lose weight. So I went from 174 to the 150s, and then I hit a plateau at 150. Then I got to 145, I hit a plateau at 145. So intermittent fasting was what got me from 150 to 145.
Oh my god, guys, I'm like so emotional. Guess what size this dress is? I've never been this size in my life. This is a size 4. Oh my gosh. This is a medium, guys. A medium. You see that? Whoa. A medium. I've never been.
But to break 145, I needed to step up my game. And in the beginning, I was eating things that I probably shouldn't have been eating, including sauces and, condiments that you shouldn't be adding to your food. So I learned through experience that I couldn't eat teriyaki sauce. I couldn't eat most sauces in restaurants. So there are so many little things that I learned along the way that I had to take out from my diet or add to my diet to increase my muscle gains and reduce my weight. I also internalized the value of doing clean keto as opposed to dirty keto, which tells you that it's way better to do salmon and asparagus versus bunless bacon burgers with jicama fries. But it was a journey that I'm still on that taught me so much about nutrition and instilled such a love for it. To break that 145 plateau, I researched something called the snake diet. And the snake diet is a way of not eating that was coined by a person named Cole Robinson, who lives in Alberta, Canada. And I'll put his links in the description of my video. Cole Robinson, along with Shameen Miller, really informed me of a radical way of dieting, which can be controversial because some people would associate it with anorexia, but it is not anorexia. Anorexia is when you have such a fear of food, but the snake diet teaches you an appreciation for food. The snake diet also doesn't herald the notion that you should be skin and bones. It encourages you to be your most fit self. The snake diet pushes the notion that fat is food, and humans do not need to eat every single day to be alive. You can go a couple of days without food. You can go several days without food. You can even go weeks without food and still be alive. People who are bigger in the snake diet are encouraged to go longer periods of time without eating, whereas someone who is smaller, let's say 130 pounds, would not be encouraged to go, let's say 30 days. You start off doing 24 hours of not eating anything, but you consume the snake juice. And snake juice consists of baking soda, pink Himalayan salt, magnesium sulfate, which is a food-grade Epsom salt. Do not eat the one that is made for your feet and your pains. Don't do that. And then it's also made with something called potassium chloride, which can be bought in the brand No Salt. There are other brands, but I use No Salt. And all of those in conglomeration go inside a 2-liter jug of water, and you consume at least 1 jug of that a day. And then you do that for 24 hours. Then you do a refeed. You do an OMAD meal, which is 1 meal a day. After that, you go into 48 hours of fasting. And then you do a refeed. And then you go into 72 hours. And then once you're able to handle 72 hours, you get into a realm of, okay, let me step it up and do 5 days. But you don't have to do 5 days. You can gradually build yourself up to 5 or however, whatever number that you want. But I went from 72 hours to doing a 6.5 day fast. And doing that 6.5 day fast, I went from 145 pounds to 132 pounds. and I was extremely happy with how I looked, but I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to be, and I still want to be 120 pounds. I think that I would look amazing at that weight. A lot of people say, oh, you look better with a little bit more meat on your bones, or like they like the whole thick thing, especially like when you are saying, okay, black women need to look thick for black men. But like, I don't really care about looking any type of way for any type of man, because I am my own person, and regardless of what someone else finds attractive, I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say I feel attractive. So I want to be 120 pounds, and that's it. In combination with, you know, having those cheat days in August and kind of just indulging in all the food here, I have gained some weight. I don't know how much I weigh because I don't currently have a scale. I would say maybe I'm like 148 right now. I do intend to lose all this weight. I'm not extremely worried. And I haven't gone to the gym since I was in New York in August. That's because you need a bank account to be set up, and you know, just through procedure, not by choice, I had to wait until literally yesterday to set up my bank account. So I'm joining a gym again. The gym was such a big part of my life, and I just want to get back to that place. And I want to get to 120 pounds. I want to tone up my body. I want to be my best self. My diet literally changed who I am. I'm someone who loves to be inside more. I hate staying out too late. I love going home because I don't want to be tempted to eat outside food. I like to cook my own food. I like to have peace of mind, because with weight loss, you have to reduce your cortisol. You need to be as stress-free as possible, and I find myself to be in that state of peace when I am by myself, when I do not have any stressors around me. I think my weight loss journey also was such a great support system for me, because if I didn't have that, I would have been broken, because it was something that I was doing when things were good at L'Oreal. It was something that had been with me after a breakup. It was something that transformed itself into a lifestyle, and that's you know what it is. Like, when you have a life, you know, when people say, oh, she doesn't have a life, before keto, I didn't have a life. I didn't have a lot of friends in New York. I had, you know, and the friends that I did have, they lived so far away. Like, I would be alone a lot. So when I found fitness, I had something to hold on to, something to care about, which was my body. And that sounds kind of sad in some sense, but if you're going to invest into something, it should be your health. It should be your happiness. It should be your self-betterment. And I'm so glad that I discovered keto and fasting. I am a better person because of it. I am a more attractive person because of it, in my opinion.
Oh, snap. Oh, hot damn. Go, girl. Come with it.
I am happier because of it. And I got from 174 pounds to 132. And I will get to 120 pounds. One thing that I love about the law of attraction is the sentence, thoughts become things. And that being said, thoughts become things led to me being in China. When I quit L'Oreal, when I tell you that I didn't know what the heck I was gonna do, I ain't lying. Like, I did not know what I was gonna do. I literally just left, and I felt like a boss. And then I walked out, you know, I'm a G. And then I'm like, okay, what am I doing now? Where the money at? But the funny thing is, though, like, I had been saving up money. So I saved up like a good amount of money. So like, I was literally like good for like a while. So I was just living it up. I was, you know, going to brunch all the time. I was just having a good time. So I wasn't really putting so much thought into what I would do next, because I was like, I got this. I wasn't worried. So I was in the car with my sister one day. I, you know, built up the courage to tell her, yeah, I quit my job. And then she was like, so what are you gonna do? Like, what's your plan? And like, I'm like, I don't know. And then she was like telling me about either a friend or just the opportunity of teaching in another country. And she was like, yeah, you could teach English in another country. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I thought about it, but I was like, yeah, whatever. Cause like, I don't know why, but I always thought about how fun it would be to be a teacher, because my mom was a teacher for over 20 years, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to, because you always hear the concept of those who can't do teach, and I had that so ingrained in my head, and I was afraid of being the person who failed. But then I didn't realize me teaching, it wouldn't be a failure of my past career, because I didn't fail in my past career. I walked away from it. I was the one who got all those positions. And although I didn't want to go down the path of actually going to school to become a, teacher in the regular sense of the way where you like work in America and the school systems, like I didn't want to do that. Like that just didn't appeal to me. Like I didn't want to be a formal teacher. I wanted to be free, to feel free, to do something different. And that's the biggest reason why I went to China. I needed difference. I needed a break. I needed a break from what I was doing. It wasn't running away, it was running towards freedom, joy, because I felt so drained. When I say drained, I felt like that world was just sucking the life out of me. And I was running towards peace, which aids in weight loss. I was on Instagram randomly, and then I got one of those sponsorship things pop up, and it had the name of the company that I currently work for. It was like Teach English in China. And I was like, that's so weird, because I was just having this conversation. Thoughts become things. So I was just having this conversation with my sister about teaching English in another country, and she didn't even know about the company. She just knew about the idea of doing it. So then I was like, okay, why not? Let me just apply. So I went on and I did the application, and then the questions that they asked were very deep questions, at least for me. And I really took my time and I answered those questions, really thinking back on my life and why I like kids, why I think I would be a good English teacher, what I could contribute, and what the opportunity could do for me. And as I was answering those questions, I realized how suitable the opportunity was for me at that point in time. It was a couple days later, and then I got a call. And I'm like, what is this random long ass number calling me? Like I didn't even answer it, because I didn't even put two and two together that, oh, I applied for a job in China. Maybe someone from China is calling me. I thought it was like, some, scam. And then it was this woman, and she was like, okay, I want to interview you. So we set up a phone interview, and then we had a Skype call, and then I think we had another Skype call. And then she was like, I want you to tell me about where you would want to be in China. And I was like, okay, I want to be in a big city. I like cities, but I also want warm weather. So she picked out 3 options for me. It was Dongguan, it was Changsha, and I think Taipei. I researched all of them, and I asked a lot of people who I knew who were Chinese American, and I got feedback from someone who lived in China and Shanghai who knew about a couple of cities. And then I ended up picking Dongguan, and I had to interview. We vibed. It was a really good interview. It was just okay, this is meant to be. So I accepted his offer, and this all happened within 2 weeks, and that was back in May. And then I had to go through the process of doing a TEFL certification, which allows you to teach English in another country. Then I had to get my visa documents in line, and then by the time everything was finished, it was August, and I was ready to leave. So I had my going away party, and I took a flight. My mom was pissed about it. She didn't say goodbye. She watched me leave. My friend drove me to the airport. She watched me get into the car with all my suitcases that I lugged down the stairs, and I could see her sadness from the window, and she opened the curtains and just watched me drive away. And I went to the airport, and my friend left, and I had to lug all my heavy suitcases. I don't even know how I managed to pull everything together. So much, everyone. I want to shout out my sister for letting me use her apartment complex, my brother for cooking, my niece Zoe for helping out, Jessica for being here, sleeping over, helping out, cleaning, scraping down my coolers with bleach. like my family and friends mean so much to me, and I'm just so appreciative of all the support, you know. It's been a journey for real. But yeah, I got on that plane. My roommate was on the plane. She came from Philly to the New York flight, and then we got to China, and it's been an adventure. And I feel recording that last video and recording this video has been such a therapeutic experience, and I feel like I'm ready now. I got my bank set up yesterday. I'm ready. Like, I'm living it now. Like, this is my time. This is my adventure. This is my moment. I'm 25. I'm gonna get to 120 pounds. I'm gonna be my best self. I'm gonna do everything that I wanted to do and be who I want to be. And I'm so excited, and I don't know why I'm so emotional. I encourage you to follow your heart, and don't let negativity stop you. Stay positive, and remember that thoughts become things. Thank you all so much for tuning into this video. I really appreciate the constant support from those of you who show it. Please click the like button if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, hit the notification bell to be notified about my next uploads. And guys, my next videos are going to be super fun, super adventurous, so follow me along as I carry out the rest of the year in China. Who knows, maybe I'll stay another year after that. I'll see you soon, guys. 再见.